Now that Daredevil Born Again has wrapped up its first season, I'm going to go through and rank the episodes and give my thoughts for each one. This isn't like an objectively correct list. We're going to disagree on things. This is just the ranking based off of my preferences. Spoilers ahead. Last place for me is going to be episode 4, Sic Semper Systema. This episode was the most obvious of how they had to stitch together reshoots with the episode they already had, and it doesn't quite mesh together because you have this plot line of Matt trying to defend a petty caramel corn thief juxtaposed to a philosophical conversation with Punisher. It's just messy, but it helps propel the story forward. Next is going to be episode 2, Optics. It's just kind of there. Nothing inherently bad about it. It's just a ton of setup. I don't really care much for these new characters, and I'm glad that this was not the pilot like it was supposed to be, though I do love Fisk's Philly cheesesteak scene. 7 is going to be 7, Art for Art's Sake. I really want to like this episode more because they did a really great job at solidifying just how terrifying and dangerous of a villain Muse is, but all of that just feels completely hollow since they do away with him by the end of the episode. And it also kind of upsets me that Matt impales Muse through the chest with a billy club and we never talk about it. I know Heather was the one who delivered the final shot, but Matt seemingly had no qualms unaliving this guy when he did for Fisk and Cole North. The fact that this is never brought up again kind of bothers me. This is going to be my least popular opinion, but number 6 is the finale, Straight to Hell. I know it's a lot of people's favorite and I completely understand why. Don't get me wrong, there is a lot of great writing and acting here, but Matt took a bullet for Fisk and that is never explored. The marital law declaration from Fisk is kind of giving Secret Invasion, if I'm honest, and I personally am just not a fan of stories that just leave you completely hopeless. And mock me all you want, but I personally am very sensitive to graphic violence, and the scene with Commissioner Gallo genuinely made me nauseous and kind of kept me up last night. I wasn't expecting scenes more violent than Deadpool or Game of Thrones to be in a show with Disney's name attached to it. So I acknowledge there's good stuff in this episode, that's why it's not lower, but it just left a bad taste in my mouth. Number 5 is Excessive Force, episode 6. This was just a really satisfying episode that finally had Matt and Fisk fully embrace Daredevil and Kingpin again. It does what made season 1 so great, which was to show the clear parallels between Matt and Fisk, but obviously on opposite ends of morality. The scene at the end cutting between the two fight scenes, that was some of my favorite action in the show. And honestly, they did an admirable job of building up to this point that I didn't even notice that it took this long for us to fully get Daredevil again. Number 4 is going to be episode 5, With Interest. I think I'm in the minority here, but I actually really dug this standalone bank robbery episode. It was just a great showcase of Matt using his powers and his skills as a way of just helping everyday people without these giant stakes and the rest of the story weighing on him. And honestly, I can't remember the last time that a new show had a solid bottle episode. Number 3 is going to be episode 3, The Hollow of His Hand. I know the original plan for the show was to make it more episodic and follow more court procedurals, and this episode was clearly the most reminiscent of that plan. And while I probably wouldn't want a whole season of that, I actually really enjoyed this courtroom drama and the story in conflict with Hector, and just shows that Matt is genuinely
A really good lawyer.
To have it capped with such a heartbreaking ending is, I mean, rest in peace, Camar de los Reyes. You did great. Number 2 is going to be the pilot, Heaven's Half Hour. This was probably the best possible way they could have done this pilot that both follows up the Netflix show, but also sort of acts as a soft reboot. My emotions were just everywhere during that opening scene. The way they changed the aspect ratio for Matt's hearing, just the cinematography was just fantastic. And the diner scene is some of the best acting in the MCU. So much is said with so little. But the top episode for me is going to be episode 8, Isle of Joy. This episode does by far the best job at ratcheting up the tension, which was something that made season 3 so great. It's the reason why I did the last 2 episodes of season 3 for my script poster over there. What I appreciated is that this was the first episode with the new creative team taking the reins, but rather than just immediately going into a new direction, they just added to the existing storylines. Fisk felt like a genuine threat to Jack Duquesne, and you saw how far the task force was willing to go. The reveal with Vanessa ordering the hit was a twist I frankly didn't see coming, and I'm glad that they made Poindexter just as dangerous and unhinged as he was before. Wilson Bethel has not missed a beat, and you can tell that the writing was great when, during the final scene, I genuinely was not sure who he was aiming at. If season 2 is just as good as that episode, it's going to be fantastic. If you haven't already, feel free to comment why I'm wrong and what you disagreed with, or just share your thoughts and rankings.